When you hear the term psychopath, what initially comes to mind?
Somebody that's like crazy and has disregard for human feelings and will just do whatever they want when they want without bearing in mind the consequences of their actions.
Okay, and how do you think someone could hide that?
I mean, quite a lot of willpower, I think, and therapy, definitely. Or people on Bates, he sort of dressed up as his mother in private, which was pretty psychotic.
Okay, so you think of the idea as like a release, some form. So from Norman Bates, it was impersonating his mother. Someone else, it could be
anything.
Yeah.
From killing to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything.
So, what kind of impressions do you get from that short scene from the Batman?
He's trying to draw attention to himself in order to draw attention to gain attention from Batman. For some reason, he thinks that they're in a game together, and that's like quite a crazy thing to think about. And yeah, it's quite an odd scene. It's quite daunting and scary.
Yeah, how does it make you feel?
Well, first of all, uncomfortable, and then just sort of you feel really, really sorry for the guy that he's torturing, and yeah, it's a very uncomfortable scene to watch, and it must have been pretty uncomfortable to film as well.
Okay, so do you feel that while you empathise, it's pretty evident that the Joker doesn't?
Yeah, the Joker doesn't care about the man. The man is just an obstacle in his path to get to Batman.
It's a bit like a game piece.
Yeah. Like a pawn.
Okay. So other than that, is there anything else that stands out to convey him to be crazy?
When he sort of loses his rag, when he shouts, "Look at me," it just again draws to the point that he wants Batman to notice him, and it again further exaggerates the point that he thinks it's a game and he just wants to get to Batman.
Okay, so have you seen any other examples of psychopaths that you think is an effective representation?
Yeah, there was the film, I think it was The Silence of the Lambs with Hannibal Lecter. He was he sort of cut people up and sort of captured them and ate them, which must have been his release for his
like his form of psychosis in a sense.
Yeah, that exactly that. So yeah, he would have these urges and just have to release them in order to sort of try and maintain.
Yeah, it's kind of his sensation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
That's all right. Don't worry.
When you hear the term psychopath, what initially comes to mind?
Murderers, usually. Kind of like people who are dissociated from the normal way of thinking. So, like, no empathy and stuff, so that they have different views about scenarios that perhaps another person would view as disturbing. They would have no connection to it whatsoever and wouldn't understand why that was an issue.
Okay, so like emotionally detached.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. How do you think someone could hide that, say, if they were trying to not be caught as a murderer?
Studying other people's reactions, so even if you don't sort of like necessarily have the emotional feeling, so if somebody fell over, a psychopath might laugh initially, but then looking at other people's reactions and learning that that's not the way you react to that scenario, they can learn that that's how you should react. So they can then react like that without actually feeling that in the first place. So if learning other people's responses to a situation and then copying them, even though that's not necessarily how they would actually react, they know that's how they should react to kind of...
Okay, so kind of imitating to fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what sort of impressions and emotions do you get from watching this short clip? Yeah, that's fine.
Kind of a little disturbing in the sense that there was kind of like no holding back.
Yeah. Would you say that the Joker is a relevant representation of the psychopath? Like, what sort of things do you think he conveys to be psychotic?
From a psychotic point of view, definitely the kind of like the laughing that he continues, and the fact that it's uncontrolled laughing. It's not just kind of like a normal kind of ha 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 laugh. It's insane.
Yeah.
The fact that he kind of like, it's just more like playing about, rather than the fact that there is an actual human and they have feelings and stuff. So again, like emotional detachment.
Okay, so it's a game to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Almost childlike in the sense that kind of like doesn't really care what he's doing. It's the end result of what he wants to happen is what he's focusing on.
Okay, so
if you think about a child, they don't necessarily think about the consequences of their reactions in a sense of how somebody else might feel. They just know that it will get them that, and that's what they want.
Okay, so it's kind of a step towards his ultimate goal.
Yeah. Without really caring about the initial consequences, it's the end consequence that they care about. So again, a kind of like child, like detachment from the emotions and stuff attached to the actual situation occurring.
Okay. Would you say that the way he acts is almost delirious, like a child would be if it got something it wanted?
In a sense that he's kind of like delirious, that kind of shows from joltiness of it in a sense, because it's not kind of like smooth actions, it's very just kind of like doing this, now doing this, and kind of thing, not just kind of like
so it's
thought out.
It's quite impulsive in a sense. Yeah. Okay. Other than that, is there any like specific actions you'd single out that you think conveys him to be psychotic?
Almost the fact that he knows what the other person is feeling, but the way that he acts and sort of like speaks to them in the sense that he doesn't understand the actual feelings. Like, he knows that they're feeling it, he just can't really comprehend it.
Okay, so kind of like when he strokes the fake Batman's cheek, you think that's kind of mockery?
Yeah, because he knows that the person is feeling scared, but for him, he can't really comprehend that because it just doesn't really happen. Like, he doesn't care and the emotion is detached from him, so it's kind of a...
Okay, so it kind of, he uses humanity against his victims.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what other representations of psychopaths in the media do you think are relevant or effective?
You have Hannibal Lecter in the new TV series, and he comes across very different to the Joker in the sense that he's very controlled and he plans out and is always kind of leading up to his next murder. So when you see him in the murder scenes, he's very calm, controlled, and is just working through it methodically. And he's thought it out in the sense that, so like in some of them, he's got sort of protective clothing on so that he won't get covered in blood splatters and stuff. So it's very premeditated and not the kind of manic psychopath that you would usually kind of immediately think of. Also, he's a psychologist, so he can understand and sort of like interpret and communicate with emotions and can pick up on other people's emotions and sort of like know how to deal with them. So again, in that sense, it's different from the usual kind of emotional detachment that people have. But when you see him talking to his own sort of like counsellor psychologist, you see the fact that he doesn't truly understand kind of friendship and everything. So in that sense, it kind of like you're reminded of the kind of psychopath of not really getting kind of like interaction and sort of emotions and stuff.
Okay, so do you think there could possibly be a blend between the two for my production, like the restraint of Hannibal in the new series, and then when it becomes to the torture scene, possibly the release like the Joker?
Yeah, I think that would make it kind of more of an impact as well, because again, sort of like with Hannibal, you kind of see this very calm, controlled person who's always sort of like thinking and meditating about the things before he says or does them, and then to have it suddenly kind of switch to a Joker style kind of psychopath, very kind of manic, just kind of more instinctual actions would, yeah, I think that would be more effective.
Yeah. Do you think that would be more shocking in a sense that one person can polarize to a complete different?
Yeah, because generally people won't usually kind of think about it that way.
Okay, thank you for your time.